In this video, we will review the concept of versions and how you can use versions to get the exact version of a standard or a classification that you're looking for. First of all, what is a version? Well, when there is a standard that's published, over time that standard needs to change. New products may be introduced on the market, codes may change, titles may change. All of these are gathered up and aggregated and published into an edition. The latest edition of master format is known as master format 2018. And every couple of years, on average, every standard will have some updates and will publish a new edition. So it's very important that the data you're working with is the right version. If you're working on a project that is using the master format 2018 version, it's important that you know you're getting data about classifications that's from the 2018 version and not from the 2016 or earlier versions. When you query for a standard or a classification, if you do not specify a version, then you are guaranteed to receive the latest version of that information. So for example, here I query for the master format standard and I receive the 2018 version of that information. You can request for information about other versions by requesting the other versions property, and you can request version ID, version, and publish date. So this means within the master format standard, I can see all other versions that pertain and were published about master format, 2014, 2016, 2011, and so on. If you do want to request information about a particular version, not the latest version, which is the default, then you can take any of these properties, whichever is most convenient for you. Sometimes you may have a version ID as a result of a query like this. Other times you may not. You may only know a date or a friendly name in the form of a year about a published version. So you have some options on how you query to make sure you're getting the right version of a standard. If you do have the version ID, you can specify that here in a parameter. When you specify that, you're guaranteed to get the version that pertains to that version ID. If you don't have a version ID, you can use the business-friendly identifier. For example, in this case, master format 2018 is the common way to refer to this version. So by specifying 2018, you'll get back the 2018 version. Other times you may have a date. You can specify a published date and you'll get the version that was published on that date. Other times you may have a date, but it may not be an exact date. Sometimes these dates may be project relative or related to a particular event. When you send in a date, the API will consider that date and consider the standard that you're requesting, and it will return you the currently published version as of the date you specified. So in 2017, on January 20th, the 2018 version of master format had not been published yet. So the current version was the 2016 version. Another concept to consider is some standards have what are called tables that sit in between the standard and the classification. In master format, there are no tables. Master format is a group of classifications. But in the case of OmniClass, OmniClass has multiple tables that are direct children of the standard, and each table is its own group of classifications. In the case of a multi-table standard, the tables are versioned rather than the standard. So if we look at that, it follows the same rules. If I look up a table inside of OmniClass, I'm going to get the latest version of that table. However, if I specify a version through the year, through a date, or through an ID, I will get the version of that table and its child classifications based on the date that I specified.